Richard's thoughts were 1 month to the end of school, the beginning of summer, and then baseball. Baseball. Could any other word lay more sweetly on the ears of a 12-year-old boy in Wilton, Arkansas in the summer of 1949? Okay, maybe candy, but most 12-year-olds in Wilton would choose Babe Ruth over a Baby Ruth every time. Richard was no different from any other boy who might have dreamed of hitting home runs before a crowd of roaring and adoring fans. Another summer season of baseball was getting too near to ignore. At 12, Richard was hoping to be a more active participant. Several serious games of workup had already been played in the field next to the sawmill. The grass was already tromped down in the shape of a diamond. Cutoffs from the sawmill made perfect bases. Imagination ruled the baselines. Any ball hit in the direction generally away from the catcher was considered a fair ball. Workup baseball was governed by the rules of etiquette established through the rigorous course of human history. The rules were applied in varying degrees of rigidity according to the aggregate mood of the participants who happened to be assembled on any given day. Workup game rules were as follows. The honor of first batter always went to the first person to appear. The person who showed up with a baseball was automatically one of the 4 batters. The other batters and the field positions were determined by order of appearance. Mob rule decided any disputed play. Another set of rules applied to the tag team wrestling matches, sometimes generated by a disputed play. Batting began as soon as a ball arrived. A batter stayed at bat until he struck out, was thrown out, or was caught out. Strikeouts and throwouts advanced all players 1 position towards home and their chance at bat. Progression was catcher to batter, pitcher to catcher, first base to pitcher, and so on. The one who made the out went to the end of the line. If the batter popped up and someone caught it, they traded positions. The catcher called balls and strikes. It was the first good weather day after school ended. The morning sun had broken through the last timid rain clouds that remained. It promised to be a very fine day at the Poole house. Wes punched Wayne in the ribs. "Get up, Wayne," he said. "Get up. I think I heard Thomas Dean and Herschel outside." Sure enough, the next thing heard in most all of Wilton was Thomas Dean Hook's booming voice hollering, "First batter!" "Doggone it," said Wayne. "He's done beat us to the field." The players began to assemble in quick succession. Wes and Wayne had to settle for second and third base as they had to pass Mom's morning scrutiny before dashing to the game. Mom's requirements were simple. She figured personal hygiene was just that, personal. If you didn't take it personal and wash up occasionally, then you shouldn't take it personal if she moved your bed further and further away from the house. With morning inspection behind them, the Poole brothers were ready to join the others. In age order, Jay, Wes, Wayne, Richard, and myself headed toward the playing field. "Who's got the ball?" asked Leon Warren. "I thought you had one, Leon," said Richard, a little more accusingly than he meant to. "Not me. I let Monroe have it," squeaked Leon. Monroe Hatridge was angered at the accusation of responsibility and blustered, "Leon, I gave that thing to your brother Jackie." "Jackie!" Leon screamed. "Where's my ball?" Jackie and I were too young to play, but old enough to accept blame in a tie. "Don't you remember, Rabbit Head?" little Jackie returned sharply. "You said I could have it if I'd go to Monroe's house and get it." "Well, if that don't beat all," Leon moaned. "Here we are all ready to play ball and we ain't got a ball." Everybody began to gather around Jay, expecting to hear an immediate solution to the dilemma. Jay was the unofficial leader of our group of would-be Hall of Famers. Jay squatted down and began to draw in the dirt surrounding the scrap of 1x12 board that served as home plate. He began to speak. Anybody got a ball at home? Anybody got any money to put on a ball at Mill's store? The answer was no again. Anybody got any ideas? Jay asked, desperate for a way out of this pressure situation. Jay drew and redrew the same stick figures in the dirt around him until, I've got an idea. What if we made a ball? Richard almost whispered. Who said that? Jay asked as he abandoned his sand art and looked searchingly into the surprised eyes of the group around him. In a single voice that might have been born from respect for leadership in general, but more probably was a product of their fear of looking stupid in front of each other, the entire group pointed to Richard and said, him. Jay thought as he turned toward Richard. You know, that's not a bad idea, said Jay as he rose to his feet. At this point, a sickening display of, I was going to say that, disease swept over the rest of the group. Things began to move fast as a plan started to develop in Jay's mind. Who has socks on? He asked. No one thought to ask Jay to explain as he inspected each sock owner's feet. It didn't take long, since only 3 of the group were wearing shoes, let alone socks. Jay collected 8 socks. Scotty Hedgecock, for reasons known only to him, was wearing 2 pairs. Johnny, go borrow your dad's friction tape, ordered Jay. Johnny Baker, minus socks, dug out for home. Other orders followed in rapid succession. Donald Bowman went for kite string. Dale Robbins went for a cork fishing bobber. Leon went home to borrow his mother's barber shears. In minutes, all missionaries had returned, all missions accomplished. The product of the process that followed is still referred to in Wilton as the ball when baseball lore creeps into conversation. Like a surgeon with practiced art, Jay began his operation. First, he cut each sock into a single circular spiraling cut, which produced several long strips of cloth. Each strip had a natural stickiness toward the toe end of the strip. Pass me that cork, Jay barked, enjoying the power that seemed to come easily by assumption. Jay took the cork from Dale and started winding kite string around it as tightly and as evenly as he could. Gradually, this fear began to grow. Just as gradually, the realization of what was being done moved over the group. Jay, are you making a ball? Asked Leon, a little slower than the rest to grasp the concept. I ain't knitting a Jeep, you ninny, Jay answered, confirming Leon's suspicion. After using up the string, Jay began the unpleasant part of applying strip upon strip of much-used sock cloth over the string. Soon he had in his hand a baseball nearly perfect in shape. It was now ready for the tough outer covering. Jay looked into the admiring faces about him as he pulled out the length of friction tape and applied it to the ball. Around and around he wound it, as finally the entire surface was covered and bound to his satisfaction. Finished, he announced. He tested its symmetry as he lightly tossed it a few feet skyward, spinning it for good measure. What happened next surprised everybody. He tossed it to Richard, thereby giving him full credit for the idea of making the ball. Richard would be the keeper of the ball, so he would be a batter. Nobody questioned Jay's shuffling of the batting order. Richard would be first to hit the new ball. Let's play some ball, Jay yelled, as everyone ran to their respective positions. A noisy, high-spirited feeling of expectancy gripped the field as Richard approached the plate. Monroe was pitching. Dale was the catcher. Richard pulled at the bill of his hat. Actually, he scratched at the roll of his toboggan, which within the family was for obvious reasons called a snotty cap. It was the closest thing to a baseball cap he had. Richard looked Monroe in the eye. Monroe looked back. Ignoring the fact that the first batter was standing at home plate, Monroe scanned the bases, checking for forgotten base runners. Monroe began his windup. The fielder's chatter quieted. The catcher braced himself for the pitch that was to come. It was Richard's first time to be first batter. Upcoming was the first pitch of the summer, and on top of that, it was the first pitch using the new ball. It all seemed so significant. The pitch was away. Monroe's pitch was better than even he thought possible. A flaming sphere rocketed past Richard. Thwack! It sounded in the catcher's wash-rag padded glove. Strike one! Dale screamed as the feeling slowly returned to his hand. He tossed the ball back to Monroe. Dale considered accidentally letting the next ball get by him. Monroe went into his exaggerated windup, then let go with his second pitch. This time he was trying too hard and the ball went high. Richard was expecting another ball down the middle and swung with all the power of a kid assigned to give himself a whipping. Strike two, called Dale. The field could see they were about to advance one position as Monroe considered his next pitch. Tension grew as Richard, with uncharacteristic boldness, raised his hand and stepped out of the stick-drawn batter's box. Monroe had to rethink his pitch. Would he throw a slider? A curve? Or how about an old knuckleball? It didn't really matter since all his pitches turned into fastballs. Okay, fastball it is. Monroe turned to the plate to see that Richard was back in the box again. Again, Monroe checked the bases. Still nobody on base. Monroe wound up. Dale shifted his weight to his left leg and placed his glove forward as a target for Monroe. All the fielders moved in, expecting at worst an easy pop-up. Richard studied the ball in Monroe's right hand. He watched it through Monroe's contorted imitation of a big league pitcher derived solely from radio play-by-play descriptions. He watched the ball leave Monroe's hand. The last thing Richard remembered was the ragged end of the black friction tape turning end over end with the ball as it beamed directly for his immobile forehead. Richard didn't much care for baseball after that, but he enjoyed watching, and since he had been designated as keeper of the ball, he felt duty-bound to come to each game with the ball. Speaking of the ball, it lasted very serviceably through the summer of '49, and with an occasional retaping, made it through most of the summer of 1950. In 1951, someone produced a new ball, a real one, to use in place of the '49 model. Somehow it was never quite the same, though, to see bleached, machine-stitched horsehide coming at you as you stood in the batter's box. Somehow it felt more like a game when you could catch a pop fly by grabbing the black tape tail of the ball as it buzzed softly by you on a warm summer evening in 1949.